Men, pay attention. There are certain things a woman says that can reveal she's cheating with someone you know. In modern dating, subtle cues in her words, tone, and behavior are often overlooked, and ignoring them can leave you blindsided, hurt, and disrespected. Women rarely admit infidelity directly. Instead, their language, excuses, and interactions reveal patterns that, if recognized early, protect your energy, respect, and emotional well-being. Infidelity is rarely just about desire. It's also about testing boundaries, managing attention, and seeing how much a man will tolerate or overlook. A woman who is cheating may attempt to control narratives, deflect suspicion, or normalize interactions with someone else in ways that seem innocent, but carry hidden intent. The key is paying attention to the subtle verbal and behavioral signs that indicate involvement with someone in your circle. In this video, we're breaking down 8 phrases and behaviors that strongly suggest she may be cheating with someone you know. Each point is rooted in female psychology and the dynamics of modern dating, designed to help you identify patterns early. Recognizing these signs allows you to act intelligently, maintain boundaries, and avoid unnecessary emotional investment. This isn't about paranoia, it's about clarity, observation, and protecting your energy. Men who learn to read these cues maintain authority, respect, and composure while filtering for women who are aligned with their values. Awareness gives you the advantage to prevent betrayal before it escalates and ensures you engage only with women who demonstrate integrity and alignment. 1. She mentions just friends, too often. Men, the first phrase to watch for is when she repeatedly brings up being just friends with someone you know. At first, it may seem innocent. She could be clarifying boundaries or sharing casual conversation. But when she emphasizes just friends, excessively, defensively, or without reason, it can be a red flag that she is hiding a deeper connection. Women often use language like this to preempt suspicion, normalize contact, or test how much you notice. This behavior often manifests subtly. She might say, "We're just friends, don't worry," every time that person is mentioned or referenced, even when it's unnecessary. A man who dismisses these statements as harmless risks, overlooking a pattern. Women unconsciously gauge reactions. If you overreact, they may back off or escalate manipulation. If you ignore it consistently, it may embolden continued secrecy. The correct approach is observation and pattern recognition. Notice the context in which she mentions these friends. Is it frequent, defensive, avoiding specifics? Women who are involved with someone often use the just friends line to deflect attention while maintaining contact. This is a verbal test of your awareness and composure. Another subtle point is the emotional energy behind the statement. Defensive or rushed mentions, repeated emphasis, or insistence that you trust her often indicate she anticipates suspicion. Women instinctively test whether a man is attentive to these cues. Those who are calm, composed, and observant pass the test, while those who ignore or overreact become easy to manipulate. Practical application. Track frequency, context, and tone. Cross-reference with behavior. Is she secretive with messages, avoiding details, or inconsistent in her explanations? Defensive. Just friends statements rarely occur in isolation. They are part of a broader pattern that signals possible infidelity. Finally, understanding this principle protects your energy and ensures clarity. Recognizing defensive or unnecessary emphasis on just friends allows you to watch for patterns without jumping to conclusions. Men who observe without overreacting maintain authority and emotional stability. Women instinctively respond to men who notice patterns and enforce boundaries, which naturally filters for alignment and respect in the relationship dynamic. 2. She uses vague excuses. Men, the second sign she may be cheating with someone you know is when she constantly offers vague excuses for her whereabouts, messages, or interactions. Instead of giving clear, straightforward explanations, she uses ambiguous language like, "I was just out," "nothing important," or "just ran into someone." Phrases designed to avoid specifics while maintaining plausibility. Women often rely on vagueness to keep their involvement hidden while testing whether you will accept ambiguity. This behavior often appears subtly at first. She might brush off questions about who she was with, delay giving details, or shift topics when you ask for clarification. Men who accept these responses at face value risk missing patterns that indicate hidden involvement. Women unconsciously assess your attentiveness and composure. If you overreact or pry aggressively, they may retreat or manipulate further. If you ignore subtle cues entirely, the behavior can escalate. The correct approach is observation and verification without overreacting. Track her patterns of vague explanations and how frequently they occur. Are her answers consistent over time, or do details change when retold? Women who are hiding interactions often struggle to maintain perfect consistency, and repeated ambiguity signals an attempt to obscure truth while preserving plausible deniability. Another subtle point is timing. Vagueness often coincides with increased secrecy in communication, delayed responses, hidden messages, or avoidance of sharing locations. Women instinctively test whether a man notices these inconsistencies and whether he has boundaries around transparency and honesty. Your energy and response communicate whether you are alert, grounded, and not easily manipulated. Practical application. Track patterns, cross-reference statements with observable behavior, and assess consistency. Maintain calm, neutral energy. Don't demand over-explanation or over-analyze in a way that gives her attention and control. Instead, gather evidence mentally and remain deliberate in your interactions. Finally, understanding vague excuses as a potential warning sign allows you to protect your emotional energy and enforce boundaries without unnecessary confrontation. Men who notice patterns of ambiguity and respond with composed awareness maintain authority, emotional stability, and respect. Women instinctively respond to men who are observant, composed, and intentional with their energy, ensuring alignment with partners who are honest and trustworthy. 3. She avoids naming the person. Men, the third sign she may be cheating with someone you know is when she consistently avoids naming the person she's interacting with. Instead of saying a friend or colleague's name, she uses vague identifiers like someone from work or a guy I know. This avoidance isn't accidental. It's a classic tactic to prevent you from making connections, testing how much attention you're paying, and protecting her secret. This behavior often appears gradually. When you ask about her day or who she was with, she dodges specifics or shifts focus. "Oh, just hanging out with a friend," or "you wouldn't know them." Men who accept these evasions risk missing a pattern that indicates deceit. Women who are involved with someone close to you use this strategy to see if your energy is easily manipulated and whether you respect boundaries or push for transparency. The correct approach is attentive observation. Notice when she avoids naming people and cross-check for patterns. How often does she provide specifics versus vague descriptions? Does she suddenly recall details only after prompting? Women who conceal interactions rely on a balance of plausibility and misdirection. Observing these details allows you to spot inconsistencies without overreacting. Another subtle cue is emotional tone. Avoidance is often accompanied by defensiveness, slight irritation, or nervous laughter when you ask for clarity. These cues are unconscious indicators of discomfort. Women testing whether you are observant and whether your energy can be influenced. Calmly noting these behaviors without confrontation signals authority and protects your emotional balance. Practical application. Track the vagueness and note any changes in behavior when certain names or situations come up. Pay attention to body language, tone, and the way she deflects. Patterns often emerge. Repeated avoidance or hesitation around specific people is rarely innocent. Maintain composure while observing the patterns rather than demanding immediate disclosure. Finally, understanding this principle protects your emotional energy and ensures clarity in your interactions. Men who notice avoidance, maintain composure, and enforce their boundaries communicate authority and discernment. Women instinctively respect men who can observe without overreacting, and this reinforces alignment, respect, and attraction. Recognizing when she avoids naming someone allows you to filter for honesty and alignment early, preventing manipulation or wasted energy. Men who remain attentive, composed, and deliberate are naturally less vulnerable to deceit in the modern dating dynamic. 4. She overreacts. When you ask questions. Men, the fourth sign she may be cheating with someone you know is when she overreacts when you ask questions. A simple inquiry about her day, her interactions, or her friends suddenly triggers defensiveness, irritation, or even hostility. This overreaction is a classic tactic. Women use emotional intensity to deflect attention, create guilt, or discourage further questioning. It's not about the question itself. It's about testing whether you will tolerate manipulation or let your energy be controlled. This behavior often appears subtly at first. You may ask, "Who were you texting earlier?" Or, "Did you see him today?" And she responds with phrases like, "Why are you always questioning me?" Or, "You're being paranoid." Men who immediately apologize, justify, or back down fail the test. Overreacting or guilt-tripping is a red flag because it signals she's hiding something and wants to shift control of your attention and energy. The correct approach is calm composure and boundary awareness. When she overreacts, remain neutral, observe the pattern, and do not escalate emotionally. Your energy communicates authority. Women instinctively test whether a man can remain grounded under subtle psychological pressure. Reacting emotionally signals that your energy is negotiable, while composure demonstrates stability and strength. Another key point is pattern recognition. Occasional defensiveness may be normal, but repeated overreaction to simple questions, especially about people in your circle, is often a manipulation tactic. Observe how frequently this occurs, whether it coincides with certain names, and whether she avoids specifics while reacting emotionally. This allows you to differentiate between normal irritation and behavioral red flags. Practical application. Maintain calm energy, ask questions intentionally, and observe without overreacting. Avoid arguing, pleading, or over-explaining yourself. Track patterns and context. Repeated overreaction around certain topics is rarely coincidental. Composure allows you to respond intelligently, protecting your emotional energy while assessing alignment and honesty. Finally, understanding this behavior protects your energy and authority. Men who remain composed, observant, and consistent in response signal confidence and discernment. Women notice energy and tone far more than words. An overreaction is a test of whether your presence and attention are easily manipulated. Passing this test strengthens your boundaries, preserves attraction, and filters for women who respect honesty and transparency. Men who recognize emotional deflection and respond with calm authority are naturally aligned with partners who value integrity, making it far less likely to be deceived in modern dating dynamics. 5. She becomes defensive about her phone. Men, the fifth sign she may be cheating with someone you know is when she suddenly becomes defensive about her phone. Her phone is her energy, her private space, and the tool that often reveals truth. If she reacts strongly when you ask simple questions, glance at notifications, or reference messages, it's a sign she's protecting information she doesn't want you to see. This defensiveness is a classic red flag in modern dating dynamics. This behavior often starts subtly. She may pick up her phone quickly when you enter the room, lock it, turn it face down, or react irritably when it's mentioned. Simple questions like, "Who are you texting?" or "Did you call him?" suddenly trigger frustration, avoidance, or emotional deflection. Men who overreact or chase for answers in these moments give away their energy and reinforce her ability to manipulate attention and perception. The correct approach is observant calmness. Notice patterns without immediately confronting or assuming the worst. Track when defensiveness occurs and how often it correlates with specific people or situations. Women use this test to gauge whether a man can maintain composure under subtle psychological pressure. Remaining neutral, composed, and deliberate communicates authority and prevents energy from being drained. Another subtle cue is consistency. A woman who is innocent will generally not create repeated defensive barriers around her device or messages. Repeated defensiveness, paired with evasive language or overemphasis on "trust me," is often a warning sign. Women subconsciously test whether your attention can be diverted through frustration or guilt, and your reaction determines how easily your energy can be influenced. Practical application. Track patterns of phone defensiveness without escalating tension. Maintain your composure, observe behavior objectively, and avoid overreacting. Do not demand explanations, guilt her, or chase details. Let consistency and patterns reveal the truth. Calm observation protects your emotional energy and reinforces your authority. Finally, understanding phone defensiveness as a manipulation tactic allows you to maintain clarity, boundaries, and composure. Men who notice patterns, remain neutral, and act intentionally signal confidence and self-respect. Women instinctively respect men who manage their energy, observe behavior objectively, and maintain authority rather than being pulled into emotional manipulation. Recognizing defensiveness around her phone gives you insight into potential infidelity without overreacting or compromising your energy. Men who remain composed, observant, and deliberate are far less vulnerable to being played, ensuring that your attention, time, and presence are respected in modern dating dynamics. 6. She talks about him too much. Men, the sixth sign she may be cheating with someone you know is when she talks about him too much. This isn't casual mention. It's repeated, often unnecessary references to a specific man in your social circle. Women use this behavior to gauge your reaction, test boundaries, and see how invested your attention and energy are. Frequent mentions may seem harmless, but in female psychology, it's often a subtle manipulation tactic. This behavior often shows up in conversations where she highlights interactions, accomplishments, or characteristics of the other man. She may say things like, "He was so helpful today," or "I ran into him again." Men who react with jealousy, overanalysis, or insecurity fall into the trap immediately. Overreacting reinforces her ability to control your emotional energy, while calm composure demonstrates authority and stability. The correct approach is pattern recognition and calm observation. Notice the frequency, tone, and context of these mentions. Are they deliberate and repeated? Do they seem designed to provoke a reaction? Women who are cheating often test a man's composure subtly, using verbal cues to assess boundaries and attention. Observing without reacting emotionally allows you to maintain authority and energy. Another layer is emotional tone. Pay attention to her excitement, defensiveness, or emphasis when talking about him. Nervous laughter, over-detailing, or quick topic changes may signal concealment or a desire to measure your reaction. A composed man signals that his energy is stable and that he cannot be manipulated through words alone. Practical application. Track mentions, tone, and context. Avoid overreacting, interrogating, or showing visible jealousy. Maintain composure and let patterns reveal themselves over time. Women instinctively respond to men who remain calm, composed, and observant. Those who notice without reacting emotionally naturally maintain authority and respect. Finally, Understanding excessive references to another man as a manipulation tactic allows you to protect your energy and enforce boundaries. Men who remain deliberate, observant, and grounded signal confidence and self-respect. Women notice and naturally align with men whose energy cannot be controlled or diverted through subtle psychological testing. Recognizing when she talks about another man too much gives you insight into potential infidelity without overreacting. Men who observe patterns, maintain composure, and respond intentionally preserve attraction, authority, and emotional stability, ensuring they engage with partners who respect boundaries, alignment, and honesty. 7. She acts guilty when he's mentioned. Men. The seventh sign she may be cheating with someone you know is when she acts guilty or uncomfortable whenever he's mentioned. This subtle reaction is a psychological tell. Women cannot always control micro-expressions, body language, or tone when a sensitive subject comes up. Even casual mentions of his name, text, or presence may trigger defensiveness, hesitation, or nervous behavior. This is often an unconscious admission that she is hiding something. This behavior often appears in ways you might not immediately recognize. She may stiffen, fidget, avoid eye contact, or redirect the conversation when his name comes up. She might laugh nervously, change her tone, or quickly insist, "It's nothing," or "Don't worry about it." Men who ignore these subtle cues miss the chance to see patterns that indicate possible infidelity. Women unconsciously test whether you are attentive to their energy and aware of inconsistencies in behavior. The correct approach is calm observation. Calm. Take note of her behavior without confronting immediately. Observe body language, tone, and timing. These microtells are often more revealing than words themselves. Overreacting or interrogating can push her further into deception or manipulation, while calm awareness preserves your authority and emotional energy. Another key element is pattern recognition. One instance of discomfort may be innocent, but repeated nervousness, defensiveness, or subtle guilt when his name arises is a pattern. Women who cheat often test whether a man can remain composed under these psychological pressures. Men who notice patterns without reacting emotionally maintain control, authority, and clarity. Practical application. Stay composed, take mental notes, and compare behavior across multiple interactions. Look for recurring cues: avoidance, nervous laughter, quick topic changes, or over-justifications. Avoid showing overt suspicion. It gives away energy and invites further testing. Instead, use observation to maintain your boundaries, protect your emotional energy, and reinforce authority. Finally, understanding guilt or discomfort around another man as a warning sign protects your energy and ensures you are aware of patterns that could indicate infidelity. Men who notice these subtle cues, maintain composure, and act deliberately signal confidence and self-respect. Women instinctively recognize this energy and respond with alignment rather than manipulation. Recognizing guilt-based microbehaviors provides early insight into potential deception without compromising your emotional balance. Men who remain composed, deliberate, and observant preserve attraction, authority, and clarity, ensuring they engage only with women who respect boundaries, honesty, and alignment in modern dating dynamics. Men, now you know the 8 unmistakable signs a woman may be cheating with someone you know. She emphasizes just friends, uses vague excuses, avoids naming the person, overreacts to questions, becomes defensive about her phone, talks about him too much, acts guilty when he's mentioned, and gets defensive around mutual friends. Each of these behaviors is rooted in female psychology and modern dating dynamics, and recognizing them is critical to protecting your energy, authority, and emotional well-being. These behaviors are rarely blatant. Women often rely on subtle cues, language patterns, and psychological testing to see how much a man will tolerate, notice, or overreact. Men who miss these cues risk overinvesting emotionally, being manipulated, and losing attraction and respect. Observing patterns rather than reacting impulsively is the key to maintaining control and clarity. Understanding these signs allows you to respond intentionally. Calm observation, boundary enforcement, and pattern recognition are your tools. Women instinctively respond to men who remain composed, deliberate, and self-respecting. Those who do not allow manipulation to control their energy. Reacting with panic, jealousy, or confrontation only reduces your authority and signals vulnerability. Consistency matters. Women may test these behaviors repeatedly, and men who maintain composure, track patterns, and enforce boundaries pass these silent tests effortlessly. Those who give in or overreact invite further manipulation and risk emotional and social consequences. Ultimately, mastering this knowledge is about protecting your energy, observing behavior, and maintaining authority. Engage deliberately, recognize patterns, and do not allow subtle cues to dictate your emotional state. Women are drawn to men who operate with composure, clarity, and boundaries. Recognizing these 8 signs early ensures that your attention, time, and presence are respected. Men who remain grounded, observant, and deliberate naturally filter for women who are honest, aligned, and worthy of investment. Protect your energy, enforce boundaries, and maintain composure, and you will be far less likely to be deceived, manipulated, or taken advantage of in the modern dating landscape.